We begin in Ecuador, where thousands of police and soldiers have raided a prison to remove a powerful gang leader. He's accused of threatening presidential candidate Fernando Villavicencio a week before his killing. The man, known as Fito, has now been transferred to a maximum security prison. He's been serving a 34-year prison term for a drug dealing and murder offense. Authorities have linked him to the Mexican drug gang, the Sinaloa cartel. Up to 4,000 officers were involved in the joint operation at a prison in the country's second-largest city, Guayaquil. Well, following the assassination of Villavicencio on Wednesday, Ecuador's presidential candidates have issued a statement blaming the government for political violence in the country. His running mate, Andrea Gonzalez, has offered to take his place. He was a vocal critic of corruption and organized crime. 6 suspects have been arrested. Police say they are linked to criminal gangs. Well, earlier, my colleague Kerry Johnston spoke to Manuela Peak from the Universidad San Francisco de Quito. She doesn't believe moving the gang leader will make any difference to security.
He was moved to another prison today, but it's the prison from which he escaped back in 2008, so we don't know how much this is actually going to change the situation. The root of the matter is that criminal gangs have been entering politics in what is becoming a narco state in Ecuador. So we can move the heads from one jail to the other, but the reality is that the level of corruption has secured over the last decade the participation of various criminal gangs into institutionalized politics, and they are allied and associated with various political parties.
I understand you are campaign manager and wife of one of the candidates, Yaku Perez Guatambel. I mean, on a human level, how concerned are you about safety?
We're all very scared about our safety. Villavicencio is just the last one, but once a week we have had colleagues assassinated. We're all wearing bulletproof jackets, some of us helmets. We're all using bulletproof cars. So it's a very high level of insecurity and terror for ourselves and our families. And what is most scariest is that we don't think there is a return in the near future. We think there is a narcotization of politics in Ecuador, and at the international level, I would compare this with the Afghanization of Ecuadorian politics, in which there are lots of regional geopolitics, global geopolitics at play in a local context, and Ecuadorians are going to pay a price for years to come.
Well, Villavicencio's widow has held a press conference. Veronica Aroz says the Ecuadorian authorities should be held accountable for her husband's killing.
They
did not protect him as they should have protected him. The state was in charge of Fernando's security. The state is directly responsible for the murder of my husband. The state still has to give many answers about everything that happened. His personal guards did not do their job. I do not want to think that they sold my husband to be murdered in this way.
Our Latin America editor, Lucia Newman, has more from Ecuador's capital, Quito.
Well, first, she made an extremely dramatic entrance. Veronica Saraus came in with a bulletproof helmet. She was also accompanied by a policeman with a helmet of the same size and carrying an automatic weapon, kind of pointing it at the media that was there. We hadn't been searched, so it was rather strange. But then she said that, first of all, she blamed the state of Ecuador for not having provided sufficient security to save her husband, for not having provided a bulletproof vehicle while he was campaigning. And then she went on to denounce his running mate, Andrea Gonzalez, who has just earlier today was nominated as his replacement. The electoral laws in Ecuador say that if a candidate steps down or dies or for whatever reason cannot run, his political party has to replace him or her with someone else. Well, Gonzalez was the running mate. She has said that she will run, but now, according to Villavicencio's widow, that is, quote, an outrage and illegal. And she said she would not stand for it. She says that would destroy her husband's legacy and would mean that his death had been in vain, and I'm quoting her. Now, she is referring, of course, to the electoral laws of this country, which apparently do not allow a person who has already been registered to run, for example, as a vice presidential candidate, to switch during the middle of the campaign. But we haven't heard yet from the electoral authorities yet on that matter.